Hello. I have a question actually. So like I don't want to write, but I want to talk to you in person. So first of
Yeah.
all, thank you very much for your input and I don't know how to say, like you have a very inspiring background and like your passion to your job, like it's very visible. So like I want to thank you for sharing it with us. So first of all, like I want to ask, so we know that West's fascination with the Orientalism in general, like in all art history, it was like that. So like they are seeing us as exotic and like very mysterious. So I don't know if I want to ask you that if it was a subject of matter in your work that is so, I don't know, successful in the eyes of the Westerns.
Uh, you might be right in that sense, but for example, when I was elected the designer of the year, the work I had done, maybe you could look at it in my website. They had asked 4 designers in House and Garden Fair, the editor, in the middle to do 4 rooms. And what I did was I just created an imaginary room, but actually it was like the middle part was a room. The corners I created like wardrobe and bathroom and so on. And there I did some mysticism, but like our old Kurna type of piece, I used it there. But I did a completely modern room, designed the modern room with incredible different textiles. And I used these meshes, touches of these, and they didn't know me then. In fact, the year before that, I had designed a room here for a company, not a room, sorry, a big floor, multi-purpose for a company. And there we created a very high wall, for example, out of marble pieces, which the inspiration came from a hammam ceiling, but it has nothing to do with a hammam. But we put tiny glasses inside the wall and created this big opening. And the closing in between these premises, we created with metal meshes. Nothing like that existed. So these metal meshes were creating the rooms. So you had a wonderful big space for throwing a party. Of course, this was a business party sort of kind of thing. But then many different people could use different corners for something else, like for eating, the other one for discussing something with these. And this was all imaginary, for example. And then apparently they were electing me. I heard this the year after, but they said, we are not sure. We have never heard of her name before. Are you sure this is her design? It's not stolen or it's not somebody else's something, you know? So they shortlisted me, but they didn't give me the first prize. The next year when I came up with this room, and this room I closed off from the exterior, only I left a small opening. And in, where is he now? Kemal Cumbuz, there's a guy with incredible collection of plaster work cast from his Armenian usta in the old times on 3 floors, again in an Armenian site he's living. I had him create from his pieces a small entrance, and House and Garden was against it. They said to me, nobody will visit it. The opening is too small, it doesn't attract attention, so they will pass by. And we made the lighting in that tiny opening. 40,000 people visited it. It was the most visited place. And this was the first, maybe there was mysticism inside, but until when they came in, they would see some mysticism, but it wasn't the Orientalist look. but the inspiration was there, yes. But we have in our past this inspiration. You cannot undo it. You might not like it, not use it, but we have it. But we didn't have these restaurants in Karaköy with the tiles and so on. You know, nothing that we have right now existed then. Everything was very bland. Chiran Palace was shown as Ottoman Palace. The exterior is all right, yes, it is, but the interior is a mixture of many things. So it was a recognition. There might be some identity linked to it, but definitely when I won in 2005 the Modern Designer of the Year award, there's nothing Orientalist about it that you would call it Orientalist. So that the British industry gave me again. And even I didn't expect it, because the way I looked at it, they found modern, very modern. Because I had a few antique pieces, I didn't think I would get it. And they announced my name. I was sitting down. The editor of House Beautiful said, "Look, they're announcing your name, Zeynep, get up." They had recognized me from the picture. And so I wasn't even going until they said, "Aren't you going to represent yourself?" So these things, when you, some of it is sometimes luck, some of it is being in the right time, but of course it's hard work behind it.
Yeah, also like in our, I don't know, roots, there's a like, we have that thing to inspire us at the end. So like.
Exactly. The Italians have it too. They are still keeping Venice as it is without, yeah, save Venice and everything. And it's in their movements and everything. And even if they are selling their new products, the whole Italian industry, like Casino or something, they are putting it into an old palazzo, trying to show that this can exist together with this, no?
Yeah, of course. So like, I want to ask lastly that you said that you were keeping discreet when you were like designing the mosque, and like the interior came after. So like, as a woman, I don't know, it shouldn't be about gender, but like it is kinda like, unfortunately.
Yeah, I didn't come up with this. I never mentioned this until they asked me, is there any other woman? I said, not that I know of. Then Le Monde made its second page. Le Monde is a very serious newspaper. And there is a doctor in Paris that I used to go for time to time for fillers. He's very famous, Dr. Dre, and he called me in the morning saying, Zeynep, tu es dans le monde. I mean, it was so exciting because the whole page, of course, the discussion was because at the time, of course, the question marks on Islam and so on, because it's so closed up and people who speak for it is always something with reaction. So there wasn't this smiling face of Islam, maybe.
Yeah. That's what I want to ask you. Was there a backlash after your interview came out? Like, was there any like negative opinions about you being a woman designing a mosque? So,
they didn't do that, but frankly speaking, for example, 3 jobs that after that, actually, the president's wife visited me, not me, because I wasn't there I was there in the opening of the mosque, but I tried to stay in the background because it was the Shakir family. They had to, it was their day. And she arrived, she was going towards them, and she changed course and came to me and said, I came to you to celebrate you as a woman. But on the other hand, after this mosque, 3 times I drew for Turkish government, and I was never able to finish it. Whereas in the world, I keep on designing and executing sometimes. So there's a question mark in that. If I would be a bit more loud, whether I could have done it then, it's a question mark, yes.
There is one last question, which Özgecim, we are running out of time here. There's one last question which is sent to me privately. What do you think of collectible design versus art collecting, which is popular in Turkey? Do you collect design pieces?
Yes, well, I collect or whatever, if I can afford it, if I like something, I try to buy it. That's why right now my house is like a depot. I mean, like a storage, and my husband screams, so I'm trying to pull out some things, try to bring them together. It's too many. Yes, today, of course, collecting is a bit something different. It's also, maybe it was in the time too, but for a very small few, I mean, buying a Picasso and this and that. Today, it's like a label, and it became a status symbol, or also it became something to make conversation about, something to belong to a social group with. So art and design in that manner, if it's an edition design, if it's labelized, lies in the same manner. But for example, a bag like an Hermes bag is the same. And also it is an investment at the same time. So it's very difficult to differentiate whether it is artistically that people are fond of it, or whether it's very popular because it appeals to the eye, but also it adds value on, or whether it adds, especially with fashion, because the house people can't carry out. But nowadays with the Zoom and so on, the house and the background is also important. It gives a certain status. Before it was with clothes. There was a saying of the Germans, Kleider machen Männer. Your clothes create you in a way. Yes, I mean, like I keep on changing. I used to change every day my clothing because my mood was changing. And also I try to dress according to where I go. I think of the person. So that's also a design for me, how I should be looking there. So I'm not free in that sense. I used to be freer because the world was freer before, but with this new kind of understanding, it's a certain look that sells you. So you are trying to do the minimums of this look at least, you know, in a way. Yes, design items, some of them are amazing. I mean, the craftsmanship, the thinking behind it, it's like art, only it's called design because there is a gallery behind it, and the gallery has probably commissioned it or is standing together with it. Yes, there is a fine line. There was even a fair. Where does art start and design finish? Where does design start, art finish? This is quite questionable today because some of the art is also so popular and so on. I don't know whether it will stay in the long run. So people tend to go for the same label artists. They don't collect for their vision. They collect for their label. So it's the same with buying a bag.
Thank you very much for this excellent talk. I have the impression that we can continue another full hour, I'm sure.
Thank you.
So I stop